The spring market is here early this year. Looking at the January showing time report, we are showing that January has double the showings per listing compared to November and December of last year. The media is behind when they talk about what's actually happening with interest rates, so make sure you're getting your information on the market from someone who has in-depth knowledge on what's actually going on in the market. So let's chat about what's happening in the local market in today's video. Hi, I'm Charlotte, your Thurston County real estate broker. The monthly data that I cover is for residential single-family homes. So the first thing we cover is the price, both median sales price and average sales price. January 2023 ended with a median sales price of $475,000, which was down 0.6% from January of 2022. And the average sales price ended at $507,614, which was actually up 2.5% from January of 2022. Now these numbers, like I said, they're year over year, which means we're comparing it to this same time last year. So January 2023 to January 2022. Obviously the market is quite a bit different than it was in January of 2022. The interest rates hadn't increased drastically yet. So the fear factor that the news articles and clickbait articles say that the housing market is going to have a large depreciation, it's just not true locally. There have been experts that have said that 2023 will have either a small dip and will bounce back quickly, or there won't be a dip at all. But again, that's very dependent on what's going on in our local market. Let's talk about new listings. New listings in January 2023 were 233, which is down 18.5% from this time last year. Keep in mind, it's a very different market than it was this time last year. Normally, I encourage my seller clients to get ahead of the spring market, and it's no different this year. As I mentioned earlier, we are seeing showings per listing that have doubled in January. With interest rates coming back down a little bit, we're seeing buyers re-enter that market again. So I encourage you, if you have thought about selling at all, reach out and find out the information on what you can list your home for and what's actually going on in your neighborhood and at your price point. Keep in mind, you don't have to move forward with selling if you aren't ready, but you do yourself a disservice if you don't find out the information you need in order to make an informed decision about it. I encourage every homeowner to get a yearly professional equity assessment report on your home, just like you would get a free credit report on your credit every year, so you can monitor what's happening not only with your credit report, but also what's happening with your home. Pending homes for January 2023 were 283, which was down by 11% from the previous January. Homes closed generally represents the activity from 30 to 60 days previous or prior, and that's because homes are generally going under contract and under contract for about 30 to 60 days depending on the contracts and the loan program, etc. So for January 2023, homes closed was 155, and that was actually down 50.9% from January of 2023. Look, I get that this seems super scary, but I want to remind you that we are not having a housing crash. We ended last year with a positive home price appreciation of 8%. So the percentage looks drastic when you're talking about the amount of homes that have closed. But remember, our market is different than this time last year. So of course the numbers are going to be different. So don't panic. We are seeing positive appreciation when we look at average sales price. And while the median home sales price is a negative number appreciation, it's literally less than 1%. All right, let's talk inventory. Inventory is a snapshot. It is done on the last day of the month. There were 372 homes that were available in January 2023, which was up 135.4% when you compare it to January 2022. But remember, we're in a different market. January 2022, it was really hard as a buyer to find a home. There just wasn't enough inventory on the market. Now we're seeing the inventory has increased a little bit. And that inventory is sticking around a bit longer, which, let's be honest, is allowing buyers to catch their breath. It's allowing buyers to do their due diligence and get inspections and just generally have a minute to think about what they're doing. And when I say it's sticking around a little bit longer, we are talking about 50 days on the market until it goes under contract, at least for January 2023. January 2022 was 16 days. 50 days is 212.5% higher than January of 2022. Now here's the thing, people that are seeing these numbers that are decreasing or increasing in these really large percentages, they start to freak out and they start to believe that the sky is falling and that the market is crashing. And I'm here to tell you it's not. It's not. Let me tell you why. In December of 2018, the market wasn't crashing, right? That was like a pretty normal year, right? It was a seller's market, but it was pretty unremarkable. keep in mind, these are the January 2023 numbers, and these are the December 2018 numbers.
New listings were 235, days on market was 43, inventory was 603, month's supply of inventory was 1.4. I'm going to address January's month supply of inventory in a little bit and go deeper into how it's calculated, but for now, just know that January 2023 has us at 1 month's supply of inventory. Let's address the inventory number on the screen first. Unlike the other metrics, these numbers seem, well, pretty far apart. December 2018 had not quite double the number of homes available for inventory, but putting that in perspective of the question, is the market crashing? For the market to be crashing, we'd have to have a plethora of homes for sale, for example, one of the indicators. And in the 2008 crash, we had 9 months of inventory. So December 2018, we had 603 homes for sale, which is not quite double what we have now. But guess what the month's supply of inventory was? 1.4 months. That's just barely 2 weeks more inventory than we have right now. So even though it's a much larger number of inventory, it was not quite 2 weeks more inventory than we have now. But wait, Charlotte, the month's supply of inventory is based off of 2018 sold data. So if you put it in the context of the sold data that January 2023 is using, it's bound to be way off. So using the same data used to calculate January's month supply of inventory, the month's supply of inventory is 1.6 months compared to 1 month. Still not a big difference. To put this in perspective, that's a little over 2 weeks. And to be thorough, to use the current inventory with 2018 data, you get 1.5 months, which is 2 weeks. So it's all about the same, no huge difference. So, okay, let's talk about the other numbers.
So we can see in December of 2018, new listings were 235, days on market was 43, inventory was 603. Now, these numbers are fairly close to what we're seeing now, right? So you can see them side by side. They're not that different. So when the media put out these headlines that cause you to be fearful, it makes me so mad because they're causing people to make decisions when they're fearful. They're causing people to be afraid to make a move that actually might be right for them. So one last number to look at is the month's supply of inventory. This number is used to determine whether it's a seller's market, a buyer's market, or a neutral market. The seller is typically 0 to 3 months, neutral is 4 to 6, and above that is a buyer's market. Typically, we see continued appreciation in a seller's market, and right now, January 2023 is showing that we have a month's supply of inventory at exactly 1 month. Now, as a reminder to find out the month's supply of inventory,
this is typically calculated by taking the total number of homes sold in the last 12 months
and divide that by 12, and that's going to give you the average number of homes that have sold per month. Then you take the current inventory number and divide that average number of homes that have sold per month into that, and that's going to give you the amount of a month's supply of inventory that we actually have. So currently we have 1 month of inventory. This means that if nothing else came on the market, we'd run out of inventory of homes to sell in a month. So you can see we're very firmly planted in a seller's market right now. We still have a shortage of housing, and we likely will for years to come. And this is based on the fact that not enough housing was being built after 2008, and the millennial generation is at the age to buy. The average home buyer last year was 36 years old. So I don't have a crystal ball, but based on this, the fact that the millennial is the largest generational pool, and they're reaching home buyer age, we're already short in inventory, and there's not enough building happening. So while I don't have a crystal ball, based on this, I think we're going to struggle a bit for housing for a while, especially here in Washington, where it's actually harder than other areas to actually build new housing, whether that be single family homes or apartment homes. As I mentioned before, I think it's important as a homeowner to know what your house is worth, not because you want to sell, but so that you know the health of your financial status. Just as you would check your credit report with your free credit report check, you should also be checking on the health of your current home. So click the link below in the description to get a professional equity assessment report. As always, this is no pressure. It's literally just to see where you are and your house is financially. As a home buyer, the data shows that while some things did slow down, they are picking back up again. The spring market has already started, so if you're thinking about it, now's the time to get started. What do you think about the current market? Do you have any questions? Reach out. I'd love to help. As always, I hope this is helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.